guys, Kate here. Welcome back to my channel. I hope you're all doing really well. Today I thought that I would do a video for you testing out Primark's makeup because you guys know that I love me a bit of Primark. However, I have never tested out their makeup before, so I thought, do you know what? I'm going to try that out because the prices are ridiculously good and I'm going to see if it works. So let's get straight into this. So everything that I'm wearing on my face right now is from Primark apart from the lips. The lips went absolutely horrifically wrong, but we'll get into that in a bit. I basically bought a full face of Primark makeup, so we'll start with foundation. So the foundation was £2.50, which is a ridiculously good price. I got mine in the shade Warm Beige, which is very, very warm. I do have tan on at the moment, and they had a really, really pale shade. I believe it was called Ivory, and they had this shade. I couldn't really find much in between, so I think it's great if you have really tan skin or if you have really pale skin, but there isn't much in the way of colour selection, which I suppose you can't expect from Primark really. But anyway, this is their liquid foundation. It says that it's oil-free, enriched with vitamin E. It also says that it's semi-matte and that it provides medium coverage and that it's suitable for all skin types. Do you know what? I'm going to start by saying this foundation for £2.50, I was so surprised with it, and I'd heard a couple of bad reviews online about this, so I kind of thought it's not going to be any good. I was really, really pleasantly surprised with this. It provided a lot of coverage. It went on really, really nicely. I used Primark's foundation brush for this. Usually I don't use that type of brush to apply my foundation. I usually use a beauty sponge or the Real Techniques Expert face brush, but the brush was £1.50, so you can't really complain with that. It did do the job. It did blend my foundation in. It's just that I find that the brushes that I use normally are better, but this applied so well. It does provide a semi-matte finish. It's definitely not completely matte. It says that it's oil-free and it does kind of feel a little bit oily. I don't know what's in it if it's not oil, but it definitely has a dewy finish, so maybe if you have oily skin, this might not be the best foundation for you. Although it says it's suitable for all skin types, I probably would say that it would be better for normal to dry skin types. It covered all of my spots. I am quite spotty at the moment, but this can also be built up as well, so it can provide quite high coverage. For £2.50, I think this is perfect for if you just want something to put on your face when you're going to work or to school, if you're just starting out with makeup and you want to try a foundation and you don't want to really shell out on one, or if you're just not that into makeup but you want something to give you a bit of coverage on your skin. I am really, really impressed with this. I think it's really, really good. Next up, I used their concealer stick. This is quite a light shade. I couldn't find one that was exactly my skin tone, so I used this to conceal under my eyes, and I always use a brighter concealer on areas that I want to highlight and under my eyes anyway, so this is kind of the shade that I would go for those areas anyway, and I found that it did work, but it's not the best one I've ever tried. Although I usually don't like concealer sticks, I usually use liquid concealers, and for a concealer stick this wasn't bad. It didn't drag my skin when I applied it. The formula wasn't very dry, so it was really blendable. Again, I think this is a great one if you have alright skin and you just have a couple of little areas that you want to cover up. I wouldn't say that it's great for what I did with it, which was to highlight areas of my face. There's definitely better ones on the market for that, but if you just want to cover up a couple of spots, I think that this would definitely do the job. Next up, I used their loose face powder with their Kabuki brush. These are £2 each, and I've got to say, actually, one thing that I did notice about the brushes is that they're really, really soft. I thought that this was going to be quite scratchy with it being quite cheap, but it really isn't. It's really, really soft on the skin, and I really like that. I'm quite impressed with this brush actually. The powder itself was also really good. This is in the shade Light. It doesn't provide a lot of colour. It is more sort of translucent really, but obviously if you're a darker skin tone, I would go for one of the darker powders. It does say that this is mineral based, and yeah, it's not too chalky for a cheap face powder. Although I will say that I do like the Collection Sheer Loose Powder, and that one's £2.99 and you get more than you do in this. The tub is definitely bigger, so I don't think that I would choose this over that, but it was good, it did the job. Next up, I tried their contour kit, which comes with a little contour brush, which is quite good. I originally thought that this brush wasn't going to be very good at all because it is quite small, but actually it fit into the contour of my cheek really, really well. Again, the bristles are really soft, so it worked really nicely, surprisingly. I used this shade to contour, and do you know what? I've got to say, I think my contour is on fleek today. I was so impressed with this. For the price of it, oh my god, it is so good. I was really not expecting it to be very good at all. I just thought that I would give it a try and give you a review, see what I thought of it. I'm actually so impressed. Next up, I used their eyebrow pencil in the shade dark brown. This has a spoolie on the end of it, which is really handy, and yeah, it's just an eyebrow pencil. It's not too scratchy. It's quite a soft pencil, which is nice because the colour transfers really easily. I've got to say, I am not the biggest fan of eyebrow pencils. I like my Anastasia Dip Brow. I'm just so obsessed with that since I've started using it. I don't think I'll find something anytime soon that I think is better than that. And like I said, I'm not the biggest fan of pencils these days, although I did used to use them. I feel like if I was at school still, I would really like this. Or if I wasn't really into eyebrows, I've got to say, my eyebrows are my thing. Like, I love a strong brow. If you're not into a strong brow and you just want to fill your eyebrows in a bit, this would be perfect. Next up, I used their 9-shade eyeshadow palette, which was £2.50. I used the lightest shade on my brow bone and my inner corners to try and highlight them a bit, and I ended up using all 3 of these brown shades. I was originally going to use this one, but it didn't really make any difference. I used this one to try and darken it up a bit, which kind of worked, but it still wasn't the look that I was going for, so I ended up trying this one on top of those 2, which kind of darkened it up a bit, but I just was not feeling this eyeshadow palette at all. I used Primark's concealer brush to apply the eyeshadow because it's just like a thick eyeshadow brush, really. I like these types of concealer brushes to apply eyeshadow. I just feel like they pick up product really well. This was definitely the palette that was bad though, not the brush. I feel like this brush would be good with other eyeshadows. This palette though, it was bad, guys. It was so powdery. The colour payoff was just so bad, and the powder just went all over the place. It went all over my top, it went all over the rest of my face. It just, oh, I did not like this at all. I will not be reusing this, it was so bad. Next up, for £1.50, I used their felt tip eyeliner pen. I wasn't really a fan of this. It did do the job and my eyeliner went on. It's just that I do have other eyeliner pens like the Collection felt tip eyeliner pen. That one I think is about £2.99. I could be wrong, but it's not very expensive. It's not much more expensive than this, and it works so much better. This is quite scratchy. You don't get a lot of movement when you're putting the eyeliner on, which means that you have to be ridiculously precise, which I am not. Yeah, it was just a bit fiddly, and I feel like this wasn't very wet, like it would dry up quite quickly. So I wasn't really loving this, to be honest. I think for £1.50, there are other ones that you can get in the drugstore that aren't much more expensive that definitely do a better job. Right, on to mascara. This was £1. I didn't really like this at all. For £1 though, it coated my lashes and it made them black, but that's where it ends. It didn't lengthen my lashes, it didn't thicken them, but then to be honest, for £1 I wouldn't really expect that. If you are not bothered about lengthening or thickening your lashes and you just want a little bit of something on them to make them a bit darker, then this would do the trick, but I don't think that I'll be trying this again. I'll definitely be trying to palm this off on somebody. So I wanted to try out some of their eyelashes, and for £1 I used their natural eyelashes, and I thought that these worked really well, although the glue that came with them was awful. It didn't even come out of the tube. When I tried to put it on the band, it just wouldn't even apply. It was that bad. So I had to use my Duo eyelash glue, which I love. And I am actually really impressed with these. I quite like them. The band, I will say, is quite wiry, so it's quite bizarre. If you bend it, it kind of stays in the position that you've bent it in a way. But for £1, I would definitely buy these again. I think they're quite natural looking, and the band is quite thin, so they're easy to apply and you can't really see it. If you're not great at applying eyelashes, I do find that if the band is thinner, it's so much easier to apply them because it just sticks down a lot easier. It's less visible, and yeah, like I said, I'm a fan of these. I'll definitely be buying more of them. Finally, we have this lipstick in the shade Candy Pink. Oh my god, it is horrible. I couldn't even keep it on to film this video, guys. It looks so cheap and so nasty. I don't like the colour, I don't like the formula. Nothing about this lipstick looks good in my opinion. It's just such a horrible, sugary colour. I mean, I have other lipsticks that say Candy Pink on them, but geez, they're not like this. The formula is really quite thick and it's quite patchy. I don't really like it. There's nothing about this lipstick that I like. It's really nasty. It's a good job it was only 90p. So I decided just to put my normal lip on, which was Soul Lip Liner by MAC with a little bit of Mare lipstick and Velvet Teddy mixed, and that's just my comfort zone. That's what I feel happy with. It looks better than that did, and yeah, I hope you enjoyed this video, guys. If you did, be sure to give it a big thumbs up, and if you'd like to watch my last video, which was trying out 5 different Pinterest hacks to see if they work, you can click on it just there. Be sure to subscribe to my channel if you haven't already and you'd like to see more from me. Follow me over my social media if you'd like to have a chat with me and see what I'm up to, and I'll see you in my next video, guys. Bye!